Good evening. My name is Dan Dumas, and this is the Clarity Channel. Tonight, I've entitled our quick time together, Suck It Up, Buttercup. And I'm basing that out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. A little bit of backdrop. Paul establishes a church there in Thessalonica, and we see his travels and his movements in Acts 17. But in Acts 16, it records his actual transition before there. And as you know, Acts 16 is the Philippian jailer account. And Paul disrupts the community and is thrown in jail, and he's beaten, and then he's released supernaturally, and he leaves Philippi and he heads to Thessalonica. When he comes into Thessalonica, he's literally limping, beaten and bruised. That was par for the course anywhere he went. They were constantly under persecution. They were constantly under physical threats. And it's just a reminder to us that, listen, that's part of the territory. There are no get out of trial free cards in the faith, right? But I want you to listen to 1 Thessalonians 2, and I'll explain the significance. First, it says, For you yourselves know, brothers, that our visit with you was not without result, wasn't in vain. On the contrary, after we had previously suffered and we were treated outrageously in Philippi, as you know, we were emboldened by our God to speak the gospel of God to you in spite of great opposition. Well, that tells me a couple things. One, Paul was tough as nails. What's happening in 1 Thessalonians 2 is because they ran him out of town and he took off to Berea, they're accusing him of being lame. They're accusing him of being weak. They're accusing him of being a coward. They're accusing him of being a charlatan, in it for the money, but he wasn't. And he's just reminding them. He says, take a stroll down memory lane. When I showed up in Thessalonica, I was beaten and bruised. And it's just a reminder that Paul was tough as nails, that he had moxie, he had strength, and not in himself, but in the grace of God, right? And it's just a reminder to us that on one side of the coin, you are to be a gentle, loyal shepherd. But on the other side of that coin, you're to be a warrior. You're to armor up. You're to do battle. You're to advance the kingdom. And so I love the picture. I mean, if I could change the Beatitudes, I would probably add in there number 11, blessed are the balanced. I think Paul was tough as nails and he was tender. And I think both leaders, but all of us need to be both tough and tender. We need to have either grit. We need to have both grit and grace, right? We're to be a warrior and a shepherd. And so my challenge to you tonight is just to remind you to get some thick skin and to be, tough as nails and to do battle and to do hard gospel things. And I love it because they're accusing Paul of being soft and weak and selfish and in it for the money. And he comes back and says, do you know how I came to town? I was torn up. I was beaten. I was bruised. Paul's basically saying, look, I have blood on my uniform, and you know it. You saw it firsthand. You experienced it. And that's what people do, right? The critic lobs bombs from a distance. But he says, you guys know this. You were there with me. You felt it. You experienced it. He said, on the contrary, after we previously had suffered and were treated outrageously, and that's what it was. All he had done is disrupt their economic supply chain there by healing a demon-possessed girl. And so then that just triggers Philippi to go into riot and anarchy and rage and throw him into jail. I'm just telling you, we need more of this side of Paul. Paul was balanced. Paul was tender. He was a shepherd. But he was also a warrior. And he took it on the chin. And he suffered for the grace of God. He suffered for the kingdom of God. And I want to remind you that that's part of the deal. Yeah. Salvation's by grace. It's certainly a free gift, Ephesians 2, 8, and 9. Take a look at it. But it costs, and it costs you dearly. So let me encourage you to be both warrior and shepherd, to be both a gentle leader and a tough leader. You need to have both grit and grace. And this applies to everyone, whether you're a boy or girl, mom or dad, leader in a church, wherever God finds you. Take Paul's example in First Thessalonians 1 and 2 and just bask in it. Think about it, right? And and I want to encourage you to be both a warrior and a shepherd. This is Dan Dumas. It's Monday night. Enjoy the week on the Clarity Channel. And again, suck it up, Buttercup.